Because in the end, in that great revelation moment, when they tell the story of God from beginning to end, it's going to be so cool to be in that story with Him. That's the greatest thing on planet Earth. I'll close and tell you a story really fast. My wife, Shelly, who's here, beautiful and gorgeous. If I brought her up, you would understand the story. We went to a movie a few years ago. You didn't see it, so don't worry about it. It was a movie called Bobby Jones. He was a famous golfer. And he grew up around Atlanta, Georgia, where we live. So they filmed some of this movie around our city, Atlanta, Georgia. It came out on a Thursday in Atlanta, and my dad loved golf. My dad loved Bobby Jones before he died, and I thought, I want to go see this movie. Bobby Jones is a great Atlanta guy. So my wife and I go, we get there early, we go into the theater, we sit down on the aisle. Okay, so it's my wife, it's me and my wife, I'm on the aisle. There's two couples on this row right here, and there's a guy sitting on the very front row of the theater. So there's 7 people in the theater, one of them sitting on the front row, staring straight up at the screen. And it's maybe half hour before the movie starts. We're early. So we got our popcorn, we're doing our thing. All of a sudden, the guy on the front row turns around and starts staring at my wife. Not like casual, cool guy staring like, oh, she's cute, but like totally turned around in his chair, totally staring at my wife. And I'm thinking, what in the world is this guy doing? I kind of say under my breath, what's up with the guy on the front row? And he's just staring. Not, I mean, like way too long of a stare. Now my wife is stareable, okay? I get that. I understand that part. But this is not cool. So I'm trying to lean over into the picture like, do you see me here? I'm getting a little sweaty palms thinking about it. Finally the guy gets up. And I think it was because he saw the look on my face. I'm telling him, you better get up and get out of here. And so he gets up, goes across to that aisle, up the aisle, stares at my wife the whole way up the aisle, and he goes out of the theater. And I'm like, that's a good thing that guy went out of here. About that time, he comes in our aisle, this guy does. True story. My wife is here, comes across the aisle in front of us and sits down in the chair in front of my wife. And turns around and starts staring at my wife. He's 1 foot away from me. I'm a man of the cloth. I am a pastor at heart, but I am going to Manny Pacquiao this guy for something doesn't change. I'm thinking I'm going to land the first blow. I don't know how this is going down, but it's going to be ugly. And then he starts staring at me. As uncomfortable as I was with him staring at her, I'm more uncomfortable that he's staring at me. And he's right here looking at me. And then he asked me a question. I was not prepared for this. Are you ready? He says this to me. Do you like golf? I'm kind of like Philip and Andrew at this point. I don't know exactly what's going on. And so before I can say, well, obviously we've come to a golf movie, so maybe that's the first hint that we like golf. I'm still a little fired up. I can't quite answer. He asked me another question, and this one was more bizarre. He says to me, are you in the movie? I'm thinking, you mean like in the movie, like I'm texting a friend saying I'll call you later, we're in the movie? Or I'm in the movie like the movie's gonna end and my name's gonna go up the screen in the movie? I don't know what he's asking me. And then before I can get another answer out, he says to me, I'm in the movie. I'm in the bar scene. You'll see me in the bar scene. I'm in the movie. I'm in the bar scene. And then I realize he has a baseball cap on, and on the baseball cap it says Bobby Jones, the movie. And I realize now that he's not altogether normal, but he was an extra in the movie. And so he's here early, and he just wants to tell somebody I'm in the movie. So I'm going to make eye contact with anybody in here until somebody looks at me, and I can say, I'm in the movie. I'm in the movie. Are you in the movie? I'm in the movie. And so he says, I'm in the bar scene. When they come in the bar scene, I'm in the bar scene. And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm looking at my watch. It's 20 minutes till the movie starts, and I got bar scene guy here, you know, in front of me. Finally, no kidding, one of the other ladies tells her friend about the scene she was in the movie. She was also an extra in the movie. He hears this with this radar hearing, and he stands up, shoots down the aisle, sits right between these two women. Their husbands had gone for popcorn, and he took the husband's seat right in the middle of the two women. I'm in the bar seat. Da-da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. I'm like, thank goodness he's over there and not over here. Movie theater fills up with people. Movie starts, and I'm just like, please come on bar scene. Movie's going by. No, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Now they're walking up to a bar, and I'm like, come on. They go in the door, and they go to a table and sit down. The bar has about 100 people crammed. The bar scene lasts about that long. And I'm like, I don't know what he looks like without the hat, you know? Is that him? So now Bobby Jones, the main character, is at a table having a conversation, and the bar scene is pretty much over. But I can feel him. He's now sitting on the other side of the woman. He got up when the husband came back and moved over, and he's looking back down the row at me, and he's like, I lie. I just am like, movie ends. We get out of there so fast. I mean, we are out of that place. I'm kind of finished with bar scene guy. We go home, the day goes by, and I promise you, driving down the road about 2 days later, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, what was up with the guy and the hat and the bar scene and the movie and the Pacquiao thing? What was up with that guy? And then it hit me. Just. I thought, no way. I am in the movie. There's something called history, and it really is his story. It's the story of God from the beginning of time, through time, past time, into where there is no time. It's a God who is and was, who made a world, who saved us all, who built a church, who raised up dead people, who gathered the nations, who brought them into eternity. It's all one grand story, and it's the story of a great and awesome God. And come on,